All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Earthbound Ancient Cave. My name is Daniel RGT. Joining me on the microphone is Airfram. We're both fairly experienced Earthbound runners at this point, and both pretty knowledgeable about Ancient Cave as well. So we're gonna start our countdown before we start explaining what exactly is Ancient Cave and other things. And there they go. So I didn't have to count down, but the countdown has begun. So the way Ancient Cave works, it's named from the Lufia 2 dungeon, Ancient Cave, which is a fully randomized dungeon. What it does is essentially this randomizer creates a labyrinth or a dungeon using rooms and maps from Earthbound. So there's 9 floors total, and the goal is to get through every single floor and fight Gigas at the end, and then defeat Gigas. But there's other things that runners can do. They don't have to walk, from floor 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. There are certain times where you can skip floors. And Airframe, you could talk a little bit about some of the skips and maybe how runners will be running into them. What kind of things can you use to skip floors?
Yeah, the big thing here is that in the normal Earthbound is you can't really skip to Gigas in the end, but the developer Chaz was able to remove those limits to allow us to only care about the bedroom and Gigas at the end. So anytime you come into a monkey room, which was the monkey cave puzzle with the normal skip item there, that is something called an elevator, which allows you to move up to 5 floors away from where you are, up or down. And that is the maximum you can move. The other things that would consider as an elevator is a key item like the Poo Tiny Ruby or a Care Key or the backstage pass in Tucson up to get the Runaway 5 there. Anything that requires a key item will elevate you away from the floor that you're on. You got to reconsider where you are on that path that you're taking, whether or not you jumped ahead or behind. And normally in most cases you're able to tell by the amount of enemies you are based on the stage of the game.
Yeah, so what happens is the dungeon will have has enemies spawn randomly throughout, just like the regular Earthbound game, and the enemies on each floor scale to roughly the level of the leveling curve of actual Earthbound. So when you're on floor 1, you fight a lot of enemies that, if you're familiar with Earthbound, that you'd see in Onet. You see a Spiteful Crow there on Ryko Ryder's screen, and they're actually both in the same room. Thankfully, this is a showcase, a marathon run, so that we have a flag setting right now. We talked about skips, but the first floor is not going to have any skips because we wanted to make sure that people felt comfortable watching these runners and we had time to explain. So once they get to floor 2, that's when the skip potential will possibly open up. And as well as enemies, also items scale for each floor.
Right. So you're not going to find something like the Sea Pendant or Heavy Bazooka back on floor 2, or a bat that deals a massive amount of damage on floor 2. You're going to find that in the later floors. So the items are going to scale to where you would be appropriately in the game.
Yeah, exactly. There is one exception, and that is the Casey bat. So that you can get the Casey bat fairly early on, but Casey bat has like a humongous miss chance, so it gives you a ton of offense, but really you're not going to be hitting much with it. And at the start of a Ancient Cave run, Ness is the only one with anything equipped. He comes equipped with the crack bat, and everyone else has no other equipment. Because they just come with the items that they would normally have at the start of an Earthbound run. So Paula has like a bread roll and a teddy bear. Jeff has can of defense spray that's broken and one big bottle rocket, and so there's not anything equipment wise that they have. Yet both these runners are going to have to find either equipment in shops, which are randomized, or in just presence around the world and stuff like that. So right now they're trying to find the end of floor 1, and the way you can know it's the end is you find the dungeons in Earthbound. If you're familiar with the Sanctuary Guardians, it'll just be one of those random any room that has a Sanctuary Guardian in it is a room that either goes up or down a floor depending on which door you're entering from.
And in this case, because we have the spoiler file, we're going to tell you a little bit of information ahead of time. So if you see the fire springs at the end of the game in Mr. Car Painter battle, they're at the first boss of the game for this particular seed.
Yeah, but the runners don't know that. We have the commentators have a spoiler log that we are looking at. So for them, they are completely blind. They're not really quite sure, what is in store. Ooh, we see Rocco Ryder get into one of these scripted fights. This is a fight that exists in the Monotoli building, a sentry robot, although his name right now is like the hesitating guard. Randomizer also randomizes the name. Sometimes you get some silly results. But this enemy, because it's pre-placed there, this does not scale to the level. So this is very, very early on. This is an enemy that can be kind of spooky, but thankfully psychic damage, the psychic point damage that Freeze does is quite a bit. And Raiko's going to get a ton of experience from this, which is going to help on the later floors.
Yeah, I'm trying to pay attention here, but it's like almost a free 20 levels in some cases, depending on the character that's leveling up here. The text is going so fast that I'm having a hard time keeping up here.
Yeah, so the randomizer increases the text speed. Earthbound, can take fairly long just because it prints each character of text one character at a time normally. So this text is called ludicrous text speed. And here we see Leslie actually find the first Sanctuary Garden here in Fire Springs, just like Airframe mentioned. So this is going to be Carpainter, you said?
Yeah, it's going to be Carpainter, and Raiko also found the first Sanctuary healing spot. It is notable to say that each floor has one of these spots for everyone to have a full heal, so that way they're not completely stranded on the floor depending on how tough it is. So Raikou found that in case Carpainter had a hard time, but Leslie's already through it, so that's not going to be a question at all.
Yeah, so Carpainter shoots lightning, which can be very scary, but normally you fight in the base game, you fight Carpainter with just SNES. Having a full party versus Carpainter, having access to PSI freeze makes Carpainter not that scary. You can probably still have one of the party members die to the thunder, but 2 freezes is pretty much guaranteed to kill, especially on floor 1.
Yeah, having all party characters is very important, and all the additional psychic attacks is just fantastic, especially if you come across those scripted fights like we did earlier.
So here we see Leslie has a small little bit of a lead here. We're on floor 2. And so one of the markers of being on a different floor is actually you can hear the music. Each floor has its own unique music. It's scrambled right now to just be, whatever song. Right now, floor 2 just has this sort of ambient chill song, which isn't bad. But here we see Mole Cave. Mole Cave, another place that has some pre-placed enemies, the 3rd strongest moles that are very, very famous. And here we see Leslie actually use the exit mouse. Could you explain the exit mouse here, Fran?
Yeah, I also saw a question in the chat at the same time here. The exit mouse is more of a return mouse type of situation. You can use the mouse to mark the location that you are at, and then later on you can either use the mouse to mark a new spot or return to where you marked it before. So you can use it for a strategic location of a shop that has a very high level item for you that you could not afford early on. Or you can use it to return to a boss or a specific location that you want to go to for strategy cases later on in the seed.
Yeah, so it's especially useful if you think because the way the randomizer works, some doors may lead you down a long labyrinth, and at the end it might just be a dead end. It might just be a huge waste of time. So having something like the exit mouse, it kind of works like the breadcrumbs do in Mother 1. If you're familiar with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can, if you think that this is a really long, this is going to take a long time for me to go and explore this area, and if it's a dead end, that's a lot of wasted time going there and then going back to backtrack through. But if you place an exit mouse, you can mitigate some of the time loss if that does happen, which is how you'll see some runners use it. And so we see there's a lot of doors that exist here in Mole Cave. And each door, obviously is a potential path to walk forward. Ooh, Raiko with a nice little skip there in that pyramid room.
Yeah. Although to note, just to bring up the skips again, Raikou just cleared by Winters with a person that was standing there blocking their way. It was actually a representative of the pencil eraser. So if Raikou had the pencil eraser, that could potentially be to skip to another floor. And we can actually find that out by checking the spoiler log. If they had that would go up to level 5 versus 2 that they're on.
Yeah, but it's dependent upon finding something like the pencil eraser, which isn't guaranteed to exist necessarily like on these early floors. You might find a pencil eraser later on, but at that point it might be worthless. See Leslie here fighting Frank and Frankenstein. There's actually no point to doing this, but maybe they just want the XP. Because there's no door that gets introduced by fighting Frank and Frankenstein, or in this case, a nurse and an orange kid sign. But maybe they just want a nice little bit of XP to help them along the way. 13 XP. Yeah, they're really rolling in it.
I mean, if I was desperate for a full heal and that was the spot I came against, I would definitely take it. But Leslie's pretty all set up for that.
It's a good point. I guess they just wanted the heal. Frank turns into a full heal after you defeat him, which can be useful. You see Rocco Rider. This looks like Foresight department store. Yeah, it is. I can see the door on the left. Which means there's one more. There's actually two more doors up top. There's one door on this 3rd floor and one door on the 4th floor. So we're gonna see Raiko check that while Leslie here's moving back to the mole cave entrance. I think we saw Raiko walk through there, and that might just be a dead end.
One of the there we gotta skip right there.
We gotta skip. So this skip right here, Airframe has a spoiler log. You should be able to tell where this goes. But Raiko found
Let's find out.
First skip. You see here's in Magic Hand. The actual location of where you end up doesn't really matter all that much. It just it could be any floor, but
that was a skip forward onto floor 6.
Floor 6. So enemies are going to be way tougher. Raiko's going to need to be very careful and need to be very strategic about the fights they take. Honestly, when I jump to floors like floor 5 or 6 from floors 1 or 2, there's this particular set of enemies I'm looking for that are very, very susceptible to freeze that I might want to grind on, so I get a little bit of XP. That way, I have a nice amount of health for the bosses that are to come.
I'm always looking for that single enemy to gather the intel in case it was one of those fire enemies for Forest Side that makes it hard to tell what it is, and just have an opportunity to either survive or escape. Yeah. Or, if it's the 5%, defeat it.
Something of note, you can see we're in the sewers. Raiko is entering a door via the sludge.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is actually a big time waste for Raiko. So they found the Runaway 5 show, now they gotta watch it. But the thing I was gonna mention, yeah, the doors there's one in the sludge, and when you walk up the ladder and outside, that's also technically a separate door. So that's 2 exits that Raiko has to explore there. If this path doesn't give
Raiko stepped up and stepped away from the show.
Yeah, it's this show's like about 1 minute long, so you have time to get like a drink or quick bathroom, but you gotta run and make
it's shorter than you think.
It's about 1 minute. It's almost like exactly 1 minute long. Oh wait, no, this show is shorter because it's not the yeah, that's right.
It's the short Foresight show.
Yeah, that's right. There's a different show when you in the vanilla game when you give the diamond to the manager here. They play a different song. They play the same song from Tucson, actually. And that takes about a minute, but this is actually slightly shorter. And Leslie's still definitely on floor 2. Those are black Antoids, which you fight in the giant step section of Onat, which is very early on in the game. Found some stairs. There's 2 doors here. Nice. So save points work just like save points do always, but it's always nice to find a save point just because you might be able to. You can death warp back there later if you feel like it. Especially if you know a heal is nearby. And if you heard that noise, actually, so Raiko picked up an item, and you heard like a noise like a pew, which is the dropping noise. That's because Raiko did not want that item, and so in Ancient Cave, it's been programmed that if you pick up an item from a chest, or it drops from an enemy, you can hit the R button and it just automatically drops it, just to save some time. This is a tough
Something
enemy to fight.
important yeah, that's a tough one. Something important to say, just because Leslie is still actually on floor 2 here, doesn't mean that Leslie is actually behind at this point, because we won't know until later on in the seed. The skips that Raikou have taken at this point have skipped past a couple of key items or critical items that are dedicated in the seed, like the Auto Star Master or Rabbit's Foot, things that could help him defeat the boss. So just because Raikou is ahead in the floors doesn't mean Leslie can't catch up or overtake him, depending on item preparedness and kid stats later on.
Yeah, so I see someone asking about the Auto Star Master. So normally in the vanilla game, the way Pooh learns Starstorm is that he leaves your party after Pyramid and then returns in Deep Darkness, learning Starstorm. But in Ancient Cave, you can learn the way that Pooh learns Starstorm is there's an item called Auto Star Master. What it does is it gives him a Starstorm level up of 1 level. So there's two versions of Starstorm. Starstorm Alpha, which does about roughly 300 damage, give or take. And then there's Starstorm Omega. So if you find 2 Auto Star Masters, you get Starstorm Omega. If you find just 1, you have Starstorm Alpha. But both are very good spells. They're just very psychic point. They're very expensive in terms of psychic points.
Right, and depending on how the stats rolled for the seed, Pooh may or may not have enough psychic points to roll a lot of it, or roll one of them. Oh, those diamonds! That's a lot of diamonents!
That was a lot of... Oh, that's like... Oh. That's a spooky...
I didn't even set that...
It's very spooky.
I didn't even flip one of Raikou's suggested seed flags to show a lot of diamonds. There are a couple of things that you could do with generating the Ancient Cave to set some challenges, and one of them is to set every single enemy to a diamond, which is a lot of people's favorites because they can't tell what's going on, and my sarcasm is just right here.
Michael Ryder had assigned bananas. This is a skip, but it might be a skip backwards. Especially because there's a duck here. This might be like
they went to what, 3? Yeah, it's 3.
This is floor 3 right now. So this is a backward skip, and Raikou instantly recognizes that and just does a 180. The person asking where that vanilla track was, that is from Dungeon Man. When Dungeon Man joins your party in South Scaraba, this is the song that plays.
Taking a quick browse around to see what critical items are in floors that Raikou may have missed at this point.
Leslie
having so far ahead.
Oh, Leslie found a skip, but getting red swirled by 2. Please don't be conducting spirit. Oh, these are conducting spirits. So that flash beta has a chance to instantly kill you. But Leslie did find a skip forward, which is good for Leslie. This is a rough battle for both of them. They're both in rough battles right now.
What was the room that Leslie was in?
They're in sewers. They're in one of the sewers.
Okay, I'll take a...
I don't know which sewer level. They're in the sewers somewhere. Someone in the chat said that a new trick get discovered recently lets you equip things that aren't supposed to be equipment. It's not pertinent to really Ancient Cave in any way, but yes, we did find a new discovery that way. It involves a teddy bear. It's not super important for the commentary of the run, but so I won't go super into detail. But yes, there was a bug that was discovered that lets us do that, and it's very cool. But both of them get through that fight. Raikou losing Paula in the process.
I would say it's more of an extension of an existing bug, but knowing that it applies to equipment more than just items at that point.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. See Leslie finding an item. Oh, Viper poison stuff, which is cute. Raikou finding another skip. Stonehenge.
Okay, it's that sewers room.
So they're in South Winters. They came from Stonehenge. And then this is also Moonside Hospital. If that helps. What happens if you do die? What happens is you get sent back to your... Oh, Raikou's on floor 9.
Oh, that's quick.
Raikou on floor 9. This is an extremely quick time to find Gigas. You might think, wow, this is really early considering the estimate. Raikou is not in any position to fight Gigas right now, even a little bit. But what happens if you die is you go back to your last save point. If you did not save anywhere, you go back to the first room you started it on floor 1.
Except for some of the soft save points that are there, like the Star Master outside of exiting the pyramid.
Correct. There are a couple spots that will if because there's a full heal that happens when you exit pyramid. If you get that, then your death will take you there. And I think there's a couple other spots that are sort of soft saves like that, but I can't think of any off the top of my head other than that one.
And to be fair, it looks like Leslie is on floor 8 as well, so Leslie is not super far behind. Just have a boss in the way, because skipping forward any further is not going to happen because they have to skip backwards.
This is such a scary place to be if you're Raiko. There's a couple things that you want for Gigas going into it. You either want to be stacked on levels, which a lot of people, just because of the nature of the skips, generally does not happen. You want some type of flash and freeze protection, so a sea pendant or earth pendant or a star pendant. Those 3 things are very sought after. Earth pendant is only 50% flash resist, but you take what you can get. And then you want, this isn't necessary, but a Franklin badge sure is very nice. And you want these to all be on Paula, because Paula is the most important part of Gigas, because Paula needs to do the prayers. But you still need to get past phases 1 and 2, which means you need to deal 2,000 damage to Poki and 2,000 damage to, or roughly 2,000 damage, because it is randomized a little bit. Roughly that much damage to Gigas phase 2. And Raiko is not in a position to really do that. So Raiko needs to start grinding levels or backtrack a bit to start finding equipment to help them. Oh, Prue has pray command.
Raiko saved on 9, so we're good there.
And they found the revitalizer. Yeah, actually, the person who gets prey is randomized. So actually, it appears Prue has prey in the seed that is rolled. Yeah, if you get to phase 3 and the character with prey is dead and you have no way of reviving them, you cannot defeat Gigas. You cannot get through.
It's game over.
You see Raiko taking a fight. These are all scary fights. Everything is super scary right now. You can see Leslie looking for some type of equipment, anything. You see they're buying a bat just to help their offense.
As bad as this fight is for Raiko, this is one of the better floor 9 fights, to be honest, even though I could still kill you all in one shot, like right there.
Yeah, ideally you want E2 Bardo. It also randomizes the Earthbound title screen. But ideally you want just the flame pile, because the flame pile is like really weak to freeze. And so even if he like sprays your whole party with fire, the freezes will kill him in time that you can survive it.
I'll take either one of them by themselves.
Yeah, the ghost is susceptible to hypnosis, so you can also do that, and they still take a ton of damage from free, just not as much the fire. That's scary. You don't know how many of those things are going to join. So you see the single fire, but the problem is that enemies can join, and Raiko does not want them to join, and they're just having a party down there. He's spawning so many more.
Yeah, all of a sudden it has a much better routing capabilities. Like, oh, there you are.
Yeah. So this
reminds you of like the Slender Man.
This is rough. Raiko probably gonna reset again just because there's no point in going through with this. Jeff cannot kill this thing, I don't think.
Jeff has mirrors, so there could be a very never mind.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a way Jeff can kill the thing. Leslie, on the other hand, getting a lot of levels. I think probably at a much higher level than Raiko at this point. They're probably still on floor 8, but floor 8 has great equipment. Sea Pendant can appear on floor 8, and a lot of other things. So if Leslie finds some good equipment and then just gets to 9, they might be in a better position than Raiko. Raiko is really having to scramble because they're just not in a position where they can comfortably fight. Oh, this is what they want. Perfect. Well, this should help them get.
This leads to what I was saying earlier, that just because Raiku's ahead, Leslie has a big chance to catch up, and Leslie's getting a lot of levels and able to keep moving forward, while Raikou is stuck on the same enemy over and over again.
Yeah, and Raiko's had to reset twice just because they died to 2 fights. You can still run, yes. Although, actually, I don't know if the unrunnable fights were quote unquote patched out or not.
There's a little bit of scramble in the speed there, so it just all depends on whether or not the speed is high or not.
Well, I just mean like occultist. I don't know if you still can't run from occultist.
Oh, that one I'm not sure about.
Yeah, in the vanilla game, occultist is flagged as unrunnable regardless of whatever your percent chance to run is. This guy's a normal enemy. You can still run, but their speed is variable. The later they are in the game, the higher chance they have much higher speed. And the math formula for running away is enemy speed minus. You have a percent chance that is the enemy speed. That is your speed minus the enemy's speed. Sorry, plus 10%. So if you have 20 speed and that thing has 30 speed, you start with a 0% chance to run. Because 20 minus 30 is -10. Plus
Never
10%.
tell me the odds.
Yeah, never tell Octopuscal the odds in the 80% run where they run away from a ghost with a 2% chance to run.
It's 100% first time all the time.
So Drumboard is pointing out Leslie got a bag of Dragonite as a drop, which is fantastic.
I want to know what enemy drops that.
Bag of Dragonite. What it does is whoever uses it turns into a dragon and does an AOE like fire attack that does a lot of damage. Fire resist is calculated into it, so in terms of how useful it is on Gigas Phase 2, Gigas Phase 2, it does about 250 to 300-ish damage, and it's like 300 plus or minus 25%, just based on Gigas' fire resist, because he naturally has some fire resist. Echo with a dead Jeff here, but Jeff is not the person I think that they care about in any capacity. The people that are really useful on Gigas, if Jeff doesn't have a bazooka, is everyone else, because the psychic points are really going to matter quite a bit.
Right. The only time you care about Jeff is if Jeff has prayer on him.
Yeah, correct. Which apparently it seems that Pooh has it in the seed. So. See a flame pendant. Flame pendant helps with fire damage, which is not useful on Gigas, but can be useful everywhere else. Red swirl.
Oh, Raikou getting a red swirl.
Thankfully, the other guy didn't join the fight, so this is actually.
Yeah, that was close, but it's still not something you want.
I mean, they just disabled Ness's psychic points. Although disabling Paula's psychic points is not.
Leslie taking advantage of the Starman's hitboxes to get the green swirls and keep moving on there.
Yeah, if you get a green swirl, you have a 100% chance to run, because you go first. This does not work on unrunnable enemies. This is one of the worst fights you could possibly take on Leslie's screen.
Oh no.
This is one of the scariest fights that exists in the game.
Hypnosis, please, Leslie. Hypnosis.
The reason is they have very, very strong magic, like Solidify, but they also have a move that Diamondize. And Leslie's dead. So we'll see where Leslie ends up. I don't know where the last time they saved was.
With the levels Leslie have been taking, it's okay, but...
Yeah, it's not too bad. Man, Ness's health is not super great. You see Leslie, getting more and more comfortable. You see a little ghost on Raikou Rider's screen. It's one of the status ailments of this game.
Have you noticed who's been our strong ones and the weak ones, or is this for the stat rolls on all this seed?
I haven't quite seen. I know Ness's vitality isn't the best right now, and neither does his IQ doesn't seem very good either. You have a chance to turn around in regards to red swirls and stuff like that, but you have to be very quick about it. And oftentimes, when you're trying to get enemies stuck, you're not really thinking about the turnaround. You're just trying to avoid them. The
good news is Leslie's still on 8, but Leslie still has to find a full heal, because I'm pretty sure Leslie will want to fight with full party there.
Yeah, like getting just Ness levels isn't super helpful. Oh, loaded dice, huh? loaded dice calls for help. It's the only thing it can do. It calls for homies.
And it's super fast.
Very, very fast. And the homies he brings are also very fast. And yeah, Pooh's vitality is very low. Paula honestly looks stacked. Looking at Paula's vitality and IQ, like she looks like she has Ness's vitality and IQ. Which might be the case. Like she's a brick house in this run. Let me tell you. Right?
It's a welcome sight. Don't want my shield person going down quick. Gotta be the meat shield.
Yes, you may have seen Ultros. There are some just randomized sprites hanging around. They've been made by various community members and stuff like that. And so you can use them as even your party member. You can see like Raiko has like these dragon forms. The same thing. You could have just wow. So getting into the firefight on the hill. Yeah, the hitbox extends outward a little bit.
I know, but I wasn't sure if that was an intentional or accidental.
I think it was intentional.
I think so too.
Yo, an eagle orb. This is a scary position for Leslie. Leslie really wants to find a full heal, but they don't want to take any fights right now.
The Fabi did not join.
Too far away. These smiling spheres, thankfully, very susceptible to hypnosis. And although that gets randomized a little bit, but still, they are like 99% susceptible in the vanilla game. So unless it randomized it completely in the opposite direction, they're still a little bit susceptible.
Yeah, that is something you do have to be aware of. Something that you expect to be susceptible to the assist commands that you have may change up a little bit, and something that normally falls asleep will not fall asleep, and it's a pain in the butt when it doesn't.
See, Raiko, I think Raiko might be looking for equipment. I think they feel comfortable enough to explore the floor more and see if they can find anything useful for Gigas, which is a good call. I mean, there's plenty of time, especially considering the estimate.
The only thing Raikou has to deal with is the fact that Raikou got into floor 9 so early, is whether or not Raikou is thinking that Leslie is also on the same floor as well.
Yeah, it's always the thing is that you never know. That apparently that section down there is always 4 fire spawns.
It's a fire party.
Yeah, it's always so. When you find a big skip like that, you're like, wow, how lucky. But you have to just remember, the other guy's playing the same seed, so they may have also found it. The Psychic Psycho here is real scary. I see
I'm clicking around the spoiler file here. Leslie has a couple more pendant opportunities than Raikou does, which will be an advantage for Leslie if Leslie finds them. That's the key to this. Is Leslie finds the items that give them an advantage over the other player. But that's not guaranteed, because sometimes it involves going down long corridors or going off of semi-divergent paths that take a little bit of time out of the way, but will pay off if you get them.
Raikou dying, but they're just going to respawn because they have quite a bit of levels, I think, that they need to save. Plus, they just get sent back here. Leslie did die earlier as well, so Leslie got sent back very far. They had to try and make it through this Starman base room yet again. And yeah, using paralysis on an enemy, if it's numb, you have a 100% chance to run away from it. It's the same thing if it's solidified as well. If it's a group of enemies, every enemy has to be paralyzed or solidified to have that 100%.
Asleep.
Or asleep, correct. If they're asleep, you also have a 100% chance to run.
So as we saw the boss list earlier, fortunately there is not a Carbon Dog Diamond Dog on floor 8 here, which is usually a large brick wall for a lot of players, because not necessarily have the same equipment as you would have in the vanilla run. So fortunately, Leslie will not have to come up against Carbon Dog when they get to the boss here.
Can I ask what is the boss for 4-8?
I believe it's Electro Spectre. Let me click on it again because I started clicking around already very quickly. It is Plague Rider Doom. Never mind.
Plague Rider Doom, not super scary, but Plague Rider Doom crits a lot, which is a little scary. So you see Raiko finding a phone. They want a new place to be sent where if they happen to die in battle. They really need to find a hospital or full heal at some point.
Although Andona's lab is not a bad place to make a base just because of the full heal right next to the phone.
Yeah, Andona's lab has the instant revitalizing machine, which gives you a full heal, and there's a free phone in there. Plus now, Leslie, you can actually soft lock yourself here if you're not careful. If you don't have enough money to pay that guy, you can't walk forward. So you have to be careful about every time you die you lose half your money, so you have to make sure you don't fall below enough money to pay that guy.
And if you're beating enemies, that's fine, but you also have to know where an A-team is to get the money out of in order to keep going forward.
Yeah, and in Earthbound, you only get money from when you kill enemies. Money is deposited into your banking account, and you need an ATM card to withdraw it.
Or a shop to sell whatever you have on your body.
Yeah, if you find a shop and you have a bunch of items you can get rid of, you sell those for some cash if you can.
Hopefully they're not all cookies.
Yeah, cookies don't sell for much. So there's one door, Leslie. There's one more door in Belcher's base that Leslie can check. Because I actually don't think the entrance counts as a door. For the purposes of Ancient Cave. Here's Belch.
Fine.
Well, they're going towards it, and they would know better than I would, so maybe it got turned into a door. I think in early builds it wasn't a door.
Yeah, I think that was added later on, like a year or two later.
Yeah, this is an annoying situation for Leslie. These piles of puke love to call for help, and it's annoying when they succeed. And Leslie wants to conserve their psychic points and bash this out, but they're currently crying, which means that they have a high miss chance. It's the same as like being blinded in Final Fantasy or anything.
The main door is a entrance these days, so it's just like the hole in the floor next to Talk to Face and Brick Road.
Leslie used the bag of Dragonite on them.
Hey, gotta use what you gotta use.
They said, I want to see what's behind this door. Yeah, not FF6. FF6 does not have the blind. It has the blind status, it just doesn't do anything. So the roach not susceptible to hypnosis, potentially susceptible to paralysis. We're about to see. Yes, and enough time that they can run away before their health reaches 0.
Oh, that.
Ooh, a Gaia beam for Raiko. So we see a Gaia beam here for Raiko. Gaia beam being Jeff's best weapon.
Oh, Leslie double thinking on the save there. Was going to skip.
I think it's a good choice.
Yes.
So these enemies are
amount of times.
Yeah, these enemies are scripted. The ones on Brick Road, so they're always going to be sort of what at this very low pile. Sea Pendant, just like you said. So Leslie has one of the items required for Gigas. Sea Pendant gives you complete flash immunity, or 99.999% flash immunity, and it protects from fire and freeze attacks. And Gigas's when Gigas does the you can't comprehend what Gigas's attack is, one of them does freeze damage. And
flash protection as well.
Yeah, one of them is a flash. It's a flash omega move, I believe.
Unless you're one of the crazy members of our community, this is a strongly suggested item.
But here we have Raiko finding a star pendant. So star pendant. Does Sea Pendant not protect it? No, Sea Pendant does protect against Star. Star Pendant is better in some way. There's one more thing it protects against.
I'm pulling up the cheat sheet. I have one saved for the AB Rando for idiots like me. Yeah, Sea Pendant does fire, freeze, flash. Star Pendant does fire, freeze, flash, and paralysis.
There we go. Heavy Bazooka for Raikou Rider. Raikou Rider, now with his Star Pendant and a Heavy Bazooka. If you're unsure what the Heavy Bazooka does, what it does is it's an item that only Jeff can use, and he can target an enemy with it, and it throws a super bomb at them, which is really good. It's monstrously good, actually. It to the point where Raikou might consider just backtracking now, and just trying to get through Gigas with, and just hope that they don't get hit by the lightning, because that's usually what you have to do in Ancient Cave. You're not guaranteed to find a Franklin badge, and if there is a Franklin badge in this seed, we don't know if it's on floor 8 or 9, and that's where these people are going to stick, to be honest.
Well, I do know where a Franklin badge is, and it is on floor 4.
Yep, so not going there.
And a second one is on floor 6.
Not going there yet.
There's a maximum total of 3, because the Paula cabinet could also be in the mix, but there is only 2 in this seed.
Here we see Leslie find the Happy Happy Shop. If you're unaware of the Happy Happy Shop, you pay what you like here, which means you just steal it. And if you talk to that dude behind that tree down there, he fights you.
So a free bazooka, can't argue against that.
Yeah, a bazooka, like a heavy bazooka, shoots a bomb. Heavy bazooka shoots a super bomb. A bazooka shoots a regular bomb. The difference there being a bomb does 90 plus or minus 25%, I believe. And then a super bomb does like 250 plus or minus 25%. Something.
Either way, if Jeff is doing 0 right now with the items you have for him,
it's really good.
Bazooka is going to be a big improvement.
It's something that Jeff can do. You'd think that a bottle rocket might be good to use on Pokey and Gigas, because bottle rockets are very strong. But the way bottle rockets are calculated, whether or not they hit, is based on 2 times the enemy's speed minus your speed. That is your % chance to hit. And in the vanilla game, Pokey has 60 speed, which means that if Jeff has roughly 20 speed, which is what he has right now, he has a 100% chance to miss.
The bazooka does not crap out in this. I was not aware of the bazooka crapping out in PK Scramble at all. I didn't think that was a thing, except for a very specific flag set.
No, it doesn't. In the vanilla game, bazooka does not break. I believe that may have been added to Scramble for balancing, because heavy bazooka is such a good item. It is such a good item. I mean, I can look up the tooltip for a bazooka.
Yeah, in Ancient Cave it definitely does not break, but I think it has to be a very specific flag in the other randomizer that will be showcased tomorrow.
Yeah,
on
if
whether
you're
or not
curious,
it does break or not.
I just dropped some stuff. Don't worry about me. Just having a cool time dropping bottles of root beer and stuff like that. So. But yeah, so this is Earthbound Ancient Cave, not to be confused with PK Scramble, which is a randomizer more in the vein of something like Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. So if you're familiar with Free Enterprise, PK Scramble is more sort of like that.
We are extremely fortunate to have 2 different randomizers in this community that is very well developed.
Yeah, two amazing devs, Chaz for Ancient Cave and J Tolmar for PK Scramble. And there's other people who help them as well. There's a lot of people who do testing for them and stuff. That, it's not just them, but they've both done an incredible amount of work, not only for the randomizers, but to help us Earthbound runners better understand some of the inner workings of Earthbound and how it calculates things or how it determines things. They're super, super helpful, super nice. And if you're interested in trying one of these out, I will post a link to both of them.
let's make sure we get the clearance from the staff here before we do that.
Oh, at the very least, I'm going to say, I'm not going to post a link. I'll just say it at the very least. But sure, I do not want to step on any toes. So if it is okay with a SpeedGaming admin, I would love to link both the Ancient Cave and PK Scramble for those who are interested. Yeah, Leslie did find a full heal, which is significant. Leslie's still on floor 8. They have to find their way to floor 9. This is gonna be the problem. Ryko Ryder is so close to being ready for Gigas. Honestly, I'm a little risky. I would probably try and fight Gigas right about now. Oh, Ryko not even trying to see who has to go to the bathroom? Oh man. That room that Ryko passed by, if you walk just a little bit farther to the right, there's somebody who runs to the bathroom, and since it randomizes the sprite of the person who runs to the bathroom, I wanted to see who runs into the bathroom. Yeah, Ryko's heading back towards Gigas, I can already tell based on the room they're in. Yeah, for sure. Ryko definitely. Both these runners are about the same skill level, and they've raced each other a lot, both just casually and in turn. You know, we've had tournaments of Ancient Cave as well, and they've raced each other in that. So these are both very experienced Ancient Cave runners. So as comfortable as you feel on being on floor 9 and having a star pendant and a heavy bazooka, you got to assume that the person you're playing against is already on Gigas. You just have to assume that, because it just might be true. You just never know.
Right. And you can't beat yourself up too much, because all it is someone went left and someone went right.
It's just about like a gut decision making and stuff like that. And sometimes you just kind of follow like a hunch. You're just like, you know what, this seems like it's worth it to go this route. And sometimes it pays off and sometimes it really doesn't. And we see Ryko, he's saved, and I believe they're going to attempt Gigas, just like I said. This is the entrance. You see the this room here is right here. I believe this is the Gigas intestines room, as we call it, just because it sort of looks like intestines on the ground. Apologies. Ryko walking around through these little side things because you can. Also, sometimes enemies spawn here right before Gigas too, actually. So
yeah.
it's a little bit also
surprise!
For that purpose. Yeah, surprise! You're going the way to fight Gigas, and all of a sudden the ghost of Starman shows up and starstorms your whole party. So.
And you have nothing left.
Yeah, so Ryko here approaching Gigas. We're going to see, what sprite for Pokey is, because that's going to be randomized. And also, we're going to see what Pokey says, because what Pokey says is randomized.
I was hoping to offer you $10,000 for your diamond.
Yeah, I know, just to torture me. Oh, so Gigas is a dog. I'm sorry, Gigas is randomized. Pokey is not. So Gigas is just a dog, but like an evil Cujo dog, like. So PSI Alpha is
angry doggo.
One of the things that Ryko Ryder was specifically looking for was for Paula to get Shield Sigma. It provides a psychic shield for the entire party, so that they can basically ignore the Gigas spell attacks for the rest of the fight and focus entirely on Pokey.
In this randomizer, this is not something that really shuffles around. So you're still looking at the vanilla psychic attacks or supports, and the levels that they may come in are a little bit different.
Yeah, and Pokey's in the vanilla game, Pokey's about 50% susceptible to paralysis. So that's why you see Ryko attempting to paralyze Pokey. Pokey every other turn is going to lower your offense, and then every other turn other than that, he's going to hit someone for all their health. Looking at their health bars, no one can survive a hit from Pokey right now.
The worst combination is a paralysis-resistant Pokey, a freeze-resistant Pokey, and a physical-resistant Pokey, because you're just bashing it out, waiting until it happens, and it just takes turns.
Yeah, thankfully things like the heavy bazooka do not take defense into account. But you know, if Poke has freeze resistance, and Poke naturally actually just has a lot of defense in general. So like that stat getting randomized is only gonna it's only gonna push it up or down, you know, a certain amount. So they're getting through phase 1 just fine. Phase 2 is where they have to start worrying. They don't have a Franklin badge, so every thunder attack, Raikou Rider is definitely going to be a little scared. And they want, for this phase specifically, considering their loadout, I would say they want Jeff to be alive for as much as possible. But there's just a chance he just outright dies. Freeze-resistant Gigas. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. You really want Jeff to survive.
I'm gonna be honest, I would start just throwing thunder depending on whether or not fire did a lot of damage.
Oh my goodness. So brain shock. Gigas is susceptible to brain shock. So we'll see if this works. It does. So now, things that Raikou wants to avoid is any physical attack, like a bash, because it will knock them. It has a higher chance to knock them out of their confusion, and you don't want that.
Something important to note is Jeff's weapons typically do not knock Gigas out because it's a shoot weapon and not an actual taking a bat to the head. Yep. And that also applies to the slingshots as well.
Yes, but it's the downside of those weapons is that they cannot crit. So you cannot smash with a slingshot or a gun weapon. But you can with anything that has bash. Perfect. So Raikou getting through.
I just peered over to Leslie's side, so Leslie is still stuck on floor 8 over here.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Raikou getting into phase 3 of Gigas. Now, Gigas was confused, but phase 3 of Gigas is technically a different enemy, so he's no longer confused.
Right, and then you also have to wait past the first prayer as well, because the first prayer will reset any status conditions on Gigas, so you gotta wait until the second turn of Gigas before you do the brain shock strats again. Yeah, it's because this screen transition, this is a different Gigas than that other Gigas too. They're different enemies. And you see, even though Pooh has prey, Raikou is taking the time to try and brain shock them. This just raises the chances of survival by quite a lot. This is the freeze attack we were talking about. That's why everyone is taking infinity scaling damage. Except for the people with the pendants equipped that provide freeze resist. And so there's a rain pendant on Ness and a star pendant on Pooh. And you can see two kids like that.
Yeah, two kids died out of nowhere. That is the flash attack. Flash attack just has a chance to instant kill you unless you have flash resistance. Ness is susceptible to that unless Raikou found another pendant that I'm not aware of. I know they have a rain pendant and I know they have a star pendant. This is actually okay.
That's the maximum amount there.
Yeah, this is actually okay though because it saves on text inputs. And also, it lowers the chances of thunder hitting, because the way thunder is calculated is it is n over 4 chance to hit, where n is the number of targets.
Of course, double lightning strike hits.
Yeah, it killed Pooh and Ness, but there was a heal queued up, and now it is it's down to just RNG at this point. You gotta hope for no thunder.
The ideal situation and minus the Franklin badge.
Yes, and there's no Franklin badge, so any thunder is really spooky, really scary. They have to get through 9 prayers total. This was, I think, the third one.
I mean, fortunately, if things move fast enough... Oh, I think an accidental auto fight happened there.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, I think incidentally, in most cases, if you mash fast enough, you should be able to get a life up off.
Yeah. If you have it queued up, 843. That's pretty
right.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Although is 140 the maximum of Pooh's HP there? I just might be a liar now.
It is. It is his max HP. His vitality is not super great.
Oh, forget what I said about 10 seconds ago.
1563, that's the 7th prayer right there. So this is the 8th prayer. We're hoping for no thunders. he hit himself. What a cool guy. The 8th prayer, and it's going to be time very soon for Raiko. So I got a handle. It just instantly moves the audio to Leslie. This is Leslie's audio.
Very peaceful audio.
Yeah, it was like the really calm and peaceful winning of the game.
Well,
but
GG to Raiko for winning.
Congratulations to Raiko. What a seed right out the gate. Raiko found floor 9 within 20 minutes. Was it something like that? A little bit less actually.
25, I think. 25, yeah. I think it was.
Great stuff to Raiko. Played that very smartly. Like I said, they weren't in any position to fight Gigas, but over time, they picked the right enemies, got a lot of experience, and finded the items they needed to find. Very lucky there was a star pendant on floor 9.
Alright, I see Raiko in the setup channel here. I'm going to see if I have permissions to drag him over to us here.
Yeah, just want to make sure it's okay. So welcome to
Hey Raiko, I do have permissions to do this.
So congratulations, Raiko has joined us in the voice call.
I was so happy when I saw that post Gigas message. This was not planned at all, by the way.
This was insane.
I had no advanced knowledge of what that message would be, and I was just so happy when I saw that. So I found Googie in about 20 minutes.
It was like 20 or so minutes you found Gigas, and it wasn't actually that welcome right out the gate. You were really not prepared for Gigas in any conceivable fashion at that point. What was going through your mind?
I was just thinking, if I can survive 1 or 2 battles, as soon as I found the Dr. Andanuts' lab, I was thinking if I can survive 1 or 2 battles, then I can explore this floor, find some stuff to make the Googie fight good, and then I should be in pretty good shape. I was a bit concerned about levels when I found the heavy bazooka. If I didn't have such low HP on Pooh specifically, because I only had about 110 HP on Pooh at the time, if I had more like 140, as soon as I found the heavy bazooka, I would have gone for it.
Yeah, you want to make sure that everyone has at least 120 health, because that's the max damage for Rockin' Alpha. So you kind of want them to not, if they have 110, they're at risk of even still dying to a Rockin' Alpha. Here we see Leslie actually finding the Sanctuary Guardian. Leslie has been on floor 8 while you've been on floor 9 grounding. They didn't find the skip you did to floor 9, but they did find a nice skip to floor 8.
Yeah.
And they have a C pendant, a night pendant. So there was a C pendant on floor 8 that you missed, and and just some other things. But you're very lucky that there was
a couple items on 4 and 6 that you missed.
Yeah, there's a Franklin badge on 4 and 6, I believe, as well.
That heavy bazooka that I found just was a complete bailout, especially with Googie being completely freeze immune.
You saw freeze immune. So if Jeff had died, it would have been really bad for that phase 2.
Oh, if Jeff had died, I would have reset.
Yeah, because at that point,
I did have 1 revive at the time, and I had healing gamma on Pooh, and oh man, that misclick in Layden Gigas 3 was so scary.
Yeah, no Franklin badge to really protect you there. So any the misclick is just all of a sudden you really worry about a thunder hitting Pooh there and forcing a reset, send you back pretty far.
Oh, I was super worried about just Pooh getting thundered out, because I only had 1 revive, and I think by the time it became relevant, the character who had the revive was dead. What made it also difficult is that Pooh being the prey character specifically meant he had to take a turn off praying to be able to use Brain Shock, which, with that kind of setup, you have to Brain Shock him, just to be able to reduce the odds of having just a completely catastrophic turn, because I had no protection on anyone else whatsoever.
So here we see a loaded dice.
Were you with getting stuck with the fires in Starman base for like 20 minutes there?
Honestly, I was just trying to I was trying to get through one fight so I could explore the rest of it. When I hit about level 30, I was thinking, let's get to the point where I can fight these battles while I'm exploring, rather than just spending time grinding. Because you might have noticed that I spent a significant amount of time in the Stonehenge map grinding to try to get to a point where I could feel comfortable winning battles. Just because I could engage the ghosts one at a time. I was really hoping for soul-consuming flames, but those were evil elemental spawns, which, given the psychic powers I had available, after the first couple fights, once I had Memes Beta and Fire Beta, wasn't too bad. But it was just a huge pain getting started, and that's what happens when you skip from 2 basically straight to 9.
Yeah, skipping from 2 to you went 2, 6, 9 in that order.
And I was not on 6 for very long either.
No, you were on 6 very, very briefly. And you know, thankfully, we looked at the spoiler log. Even if you didn't find anything before 9, you can see Leslie here fighting the Sanctuary 8 Guardian, which is just the rat. It's
those
rat.
are super easy bosses then.
Yeah, I mean, the rat on Sanctuary 8 is just really beefy in terms of health. Like, he just has a ton of health, and he has a high crit chance, and he can poison you, and those are basically his attacks. But he also has a turn where he just does nothing too. He just does nothing.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's not a bad situation. And you can see Leslie getting through it. So Leslie about to enter floor 9 here. And we're going to see some familiar rooms. Basically, we're looking to see whenever Leslie hits the inner part of Brick Road.
Because I tell you what, my heart went pretty pitter-patter when I found myself that close. When I hit the skip to 9, and then I found Googie 2 rooms away, I was just so excited. And then I got even more excited when there was a full heal and a phone right next to him too.
Yeah, and then I looked at the time. I'm looking at the estimate, an hour 45. You're like 20 minutes in, I guess. I'm just like, well, and he still has to grind a bunch at the very least. There's still more time to go.
On the other hand, this is going to get the marathon caught up on schedule.
Absolutely.
They just got lucky I didn't roll a doggo seed.
Yeah, honestly.
Oh, right. Yes, Airfram, this is very, very unlike your seeds.
Hey, I have a high variety of seeds. I just put up a big front when I have a bad seed, like I did it on purpose.
You don't have to worry about 30 minutes of ads. After Leslie is done, you know, we'll be moving along with the schedule. If we're ahead of schedule, we'll be ahead of schedule. It's just how it is. And if they need to pad for, 5 to 10 minutes to potentially accommodate a runner who might be trying to, they have their schedule planned for the exact time they're running things. So I don't think you got to worry about 30 minutes of ads.
Oh no, that won't be any difficulty. If anything, Leslie's going to want to talk about this one too.
Yeah, Leslie's had a rough time. They were on floor 8 for a while, and they really could not find a full heal on floor 8 for a long time, and it was really detrimental to their progress. Finally, now that they found the full heal, they've made it past. They're on floor 9 now, which is good. They have a regular berserker. If they find the Brick Road room, which I think is required to get to Gigas, depending on the differing pathways. They're gonna, if they check those presents, they're gonna find a heavy bazooka. But Leslie might not want to, just to try and see if they can make up, finish as quickly as possible. It's gonna be rough on phase 2. That freeze resistant Gigas is not comfortable for anybody to really be fighting.
And I believe it's also fire resistant too. Not fully, but it's I want to say 75% fire resistance. So Gigas that heavy bazooka just carried me.
Yeah, Gigas is naturally resistant to fire, so it's very likely that the fire resistance is going to be high, just in general. The randomizer would have to randomize extremely, just way down on the fire resist for it to really be a thing where fire is really good against Gigas.
You gotta try, though.
You gotta try, for sure. It's just more often than not, you will... fire isn't bad. A bag of Dragonite, Does a lot of damage normally, but on a Gigas it does about 300. Give or take 25%.
But if you don't find and this can happen to anybody, that's one thing that makes this randomizer difficult to showcase, and just big thank you to SpeedGaming, Diesel, and all the SpeedGaming staff who made this possible for letting us showcase the Ancient Cave randomizer. It's just such a difficult randomizer to showcase because of how volatile the finishes can be.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm asking, how do you even tell the Starman apart on first encounter with the randomizer? So Starman Jr. Is a boss. He's not going to appear as a regular enemy. So these Starmen that Leslie are fighting is a Starman or a Starman Super. It could technically be a final Starman and a Ghost of Starman, although that's very unlikely considering it's not the sprite. So these are from Stonehenge base, almost for sure, which is the early parts of floor 9 will do that. And as you progress through floor 9, it will start... normally it starts ramping up the levels of the thing. You might find Cave of the Past enemies, although realistically, we saw Raiko really grinding on enemies right outside the door to Gigas, and there were still Fire Springs enemies. So it seems like the Cave of the Past enemies are, if they're anywhere, they are in the Gigas room, and we haven't seen them because Raiko avoided them.
I believe
the big thing is the partnership of the enemies.
I believe when I first found Googie, I saw a couple of diamonds in there, and then I just... Oh, I approve of this name.
You already know what it is. Is it Wobbuffet?
It is.
It is Wobbuffet.
Aw, you misspelled Wobbuffet. That's okay. That's okay. We get the idea.
Wobbuffet doesn't care if you misspell Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet only cares about destroying your whole team.
No kidding.
For those who don't know, in a while, not anymore, but although Wobbuffet's still okay, but there was a while where Wobbuffet was banned in competitive Pokemon. Because Wobbuffet was just this unkillable demon god that killed you.
Now, as far as the seed goes, another way you can tell what type of Starman is actually by the battle background. We don't have battle background randomization on specifically because there's a chance for it to be kind of seizure-tastic, and we can't have that for a showcase.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even with the randomization, it's generally only color and background movement, but the actual images are vanilla, so you can generally tell what you're fighting just by the battle background.
Yeah. Seems about right. Yeah, there's a couple parts in EB that are, I would say, epilepsy warnings. Leslie actually finding a Cloak of Kings. I don't know if you caught that. Cloak of Kings, great item for Pooh. Pooh's the only character who can equip it, but it gives him 40 speed. And it essentially works as a Rabbit Foot. I believe it also gives him paralysis resist. I might be misremembering that part.
Yes, but when Pooh is your prey character, he kind of has to have C-Star.
Yeah, so the Cloak of King is going to be useful before Gigas, not during Gigas, unless Leslie finds the Diadem of Kings, which does actually provide everything you need, I believe. Or at the very least, it provides freeze resistance. Yeah.
And freeze resistance is super important, but...
Yeah,
I want to say it's like 33% in combination with other items or something like that.
Yeah, but the Cloak of Kings uses the same slot that the Sea Pendant or Star Pendant does. So the speed is only going to be really useful for running away from certain fights that Leslie does not want to encounter right now. Well, this is a green swirl, so they could run regardless.
And just having that C-Star for Googie is just non-negotiable.
Yeah, you need at least a Sea or Star Pendant. If you're really crazy, you can try running just Night Pendant. I have done it before, but it was a pain. Bracer of Kings, you think you want it, but it's really just defense. It just gives you a little bit of defense. So it's not particularly helpful for Gigas or anything like that, but extra defense is extra defense. You never know when it might come in handy.
It is, especially because for the Pendant, because it's not in Pooh's specialized equipment, any equipment that you give him will decrease his defense by 40 points.
Correct. If you try and put clothes on Pooh that are not like monk's clothes, it just robs him of defense. He's sort of taking, I guess it's sort of like a vow of poverty type thing that they're trying to go with. You do not want a teddy bear at this point in the run. So teddy bears are really great for the early parts of Ancient Caves and Vanilla and stuff like that. But the problem is that teddy bears scale really badly when enemies have attacks that hit every enemy, which Gigas does, and that's extra text that occurs in the battle, which means that you have a lower chance of surviving if you're trying to use the rolling HP to your advantage.
Not just that, but it also just
10 seconds at a time.
It also makes it more difficult to dodge enemies.
Yeah, it adds an extra sprite to the end of your little party chain, and the teddy bear counts as something that can start the battle. So it's a little bit worse here at these later stages of the game.
One other thing that's really useful against the Starmen when you see them is PK Thunder.
Yeah.
Because the Starmen Super in particular, in Vanilla, they start with a Psychic Power Shield, which reflects all Psi attacks. And I always like to test with a weak Psi attack, like a Thunder or, say, a Freeze or Fire Alpha, whether or not that's been randomized off, because the odds of that has been increased in the later versions for some enemies. It's still small that it changes, but it's worth checking. Because then you can use Psi attacks on the Starmen Super, and because you can get a free preemptive on them every single time, they're a great enemy to grind off of at 9.
Yeah, we see Leslie finding one of the star pendants, not the one you found, but it is a star pendant.
I think that's the one I found.
You found the one in Brick Road, I thought.
No, that was the one I found, because then I came here, and then I found the heavy bazooka here. Because I found those
The sea pendant came from Brick Road.
Your star pendant came from Brick Road. Like, almost for sure it did. Almost for sure your star pendant came from Brick Road.
I'll look at the spoiler. The sea pendant came from Brick Road. I
the
don't think
pendant.
Ryko crossed it at all.
I'm mixing the two runners up. Leslie found the sea pendant in Brick Road.
Because I never found a sea pendant. I was actually still looking after I found the heavy bazooka to find one more pendant for Jeff specifically, so that Flash wasn't a problem in the pre-prayer section in particular. After that, I didn't care what happened to him.
Yeah, having both a regular Pixie's bracelet dropped.
A little late for that.
It's a little late, but it's just funny. It's a pretty good little armband because it's one of the most defensive armbands you can have.
I think it's the
It's a little worse. It's worse than the Goddess Band for sure.
Goddess Band is best in slot, I think.
Yeah.
Cherub and Goddess are above it.
Yeah, Cherub is the other one.
It might actually be third best, come to think of it.
I think it might be third best.
It is third.
Yeah.
But after finding the heavy bazooka, Leslie should be...
Yeah, honestly, they're good to go if they can find Gigas, which we know some of the rooms that lead to Gigas. Leslie's just got to find them.
This floor 9 is also just big.
Yeah, floor 9 is a little gigante, if you want to use Spanish for it.
I'm just glad Tucson wasn't attached to it.
They're heading backwards right now, though. I don't think that's the right way, because I do think based on the fact that you found the heavy bazooka and the star pendant, it means that Gigas is back in the other direction. So Leslie might be not realizing they're heading backwards, or they might think this other door really is going to lead them. Wow, what a green swirl. Great stuff.
Oh, that's where the full heal is? That's so rude.
It is quite rude, yeah.
There's another full heal right next to Googie, but Leslie doesn't know that.
Yeah.
The worst part is you have to go through the worst room in the game to be able to go in the right direction, and that's something that Leslie is probably going to...
You mean best room, right?
No, that's the worst room in the game, please. Do not try and start...
I'm just trying to have fun.
That's the worst room in the...
Yeah, it is easily the worst room in the game in terms of how badly RNG can skew it against you.
That's the worst room in the game in vanilla too.
Yeah. It's the worst room in the game regardless. It's just because of how the room is laid out. There's not a lot of good spots to really despawn things in a way that you want. It's really easy for enemies to get stuck on screen and then you're pincered. So oh, this is the right way actually. Wait, this is the restaurant. The rest is not the hotel.
Oh shit! I was thinking around. There's a quick skip to Googie from floor 6.
That's the one I found.
That's the one that Reiko found.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's been a hot minute. Like 20 minutes ago.
It's been almost an hour since that. Yes, Starmen are really easy to get green scrolls on in the vanilla run. That is the main strat in Starman base, is to run from enemy to enemy, run from Starman to Starman, forcing green scrolls. Why are both players keeping the exterminator spray? You never know when a roach might show up and ruin your day.
I was also super happy to find the Gaia beam, if anything, just to make the mobs easier.
Yeah.
But Leslie should be headed in the right direction now. I remember this hospital.
Yes. Please, yes. Who is it? Oh, it's just this nerd. I don't like that nerd. You didn't check to see who had to go to the bathroom. It made me angry. I always check. The best is when King has to go to the bathroom. The dog just runs in the bathroom.
I kind of expected Leslie to...
I always check who has to go potty. It's a real quick check, and sometimes it provides great laughs.
Okay, well, this is the correct direction. Leslie doesn't know that.
Yeah, this is the correct direction. Leslie is probably going to... Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was one of the cleanest... I mean, it was backwards, but it was still quite insanely good.
I remember that screen for you for 30 minutes.
That room is so bad.
So this is I think the way you took the skip. No, I don't think. I mean, they just gave that hamburger. They know they're on floor 9. There's no reason to try a skip right now.
This was also a bit strange when I came into this hotel room in that lobby because I noticed there was some leakage from the top.
Yeah. So the enemies that were there were like the newsmen and the ducks. This is floor 9. That's not the enemies that appear there. But that top section, there's some doors up there, and that counts as a different floor because you can only really access those doors on this top side there. So the enemies...
This is the skip that I took.
Yeah, the ruler. And so we can see Leslie's about to enter the Moonside Hospital, and in the only door, and actually Moonside Hospital, I think there's just one. Other than the entrance, I mean.
That's where Googie is.
Here's Googie.
And there we go.
So now Leslie making their way to Gigas. Leslie with a little bit of a better setup than Raiko had in terms of stats and defense. There's multiple C pendants sort of in the mix. There's a star pendant as well. And they have a heavy bazooka. They're going to find that the criminal caterpillar here is going to give them a gajillion experience, a more billion experience right now.
To be honest, Leslie should feel pretty confident to clear this out in the one shot here.
Yeah, you can see those diamonds there. That's part of the reason you saw Raiko walk along the side there. It's just to avoid those diamond spawns. Those were for sure Cave of the Past enemies right there, which means a Ghost of Starman has a chance to appear, and a Ghost of Starman is scripted to always start with a Starstorm Alpha, which is really sad. It's always really annoying.
Or a favorite, Bionic Kraken.
And you might remember that those enemies are based around you. They're balanced around you getting the Magicant stat boost, which is something that we don't get in Ancient Cave and makes the Googie fight significantly scarier.
Yeah.
Stat boost, what does that mean?
There we see. This first phase should not be too much of an issue for Leslie, just with their current loadout. They have a super bomb here on they have a large pizza too. That's actually great. Large pizza is going to heal up everyone back to full, and they're going to have the psychic shield on them. This
paralysis, large pizza strats.
Yeah, this paralysis is not going to work. I'm pretty sure this Pokey is completely resistant to paralysis, or it's just a super low chance.
I tried a few times and it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean
25 or 10%.
It's been. Oh, is that what it says?
I don't have the actual data, but that's what I'm guessing right now based on what I saw.
Yeah, in vanilla it's 50.
In vanilla it's 50, so it might have a smaller chance to work. The problem is that these every other turn, Pokey is basically going to murder somebody.
Oh, that's not good.
No. But they queued up a heal on Jeff because they know Jeff is the most important character in their party right now.
That's really smart.
The Heavy Bazooka is the main damage dealer right now for both phases 1 and 2. Especially, I mean, Leslie's going to be really sad. They actually have Freeze Omega on Paula. Or on Pooh, one of the two. And they have a ton of psychic points, so it seems... Oh, they work. So the paralysis works. This is a free rest of the fight, basically.
Yep.
It's gonna be over. This phase is gonna be over in about this turn or the next turn, at most.
Paula's the only one that can learn Freeze Omega, and I can respect it, but it's so PP inefficient.
Yeah, it's just it's really inefficient. It does. You're better off using like Gamma or Beta, realistically, just because you'll get more of them and they do more damage overall, like based on that. But it seems tempting. You're like, oh, here's a chance to use Freeze Omega, and this guy is going to take like 12 damage from it, something like that.
And even
if
then,
you speedrun it, it's just for the fact that you don't get to use it normally. That's all it really is at that point.
The only reason I say if they find out that this Gigas is freeze resistant, which they're about to find out right now, queuing up a freeze alpha would be worth it on Gigas just for the chance of getting a solidify, which is a 1 in 4 chance. Yep, there's the 26 damage from that freeze Gamma.
26.
There you saw Ness's Rockin' Miss. Rockin' being the favorite thing spell that you learn. Rockin's chance to hit is based on speed.
And we all know from this that Googie does not appreciate memes.
Yeah, so Gigas' vanilla speed is 80, but right now, actually, we just spied on him. His speed is 82. So, Ness does not have anywhere close to that speed. So, Rockins have a very, very high chance to miss. Who dying here is bad. I believe there is a Horn of Life on Leslie's side. They're going for the auto fight, hoping that the heal gets there in time. It did. The ludicrous tech speed,
yeah.
Ludicrous tech speed really coming in clutch there. And now they're going to wait a little bit for the HP to roll up.
That's really smart.
Yep. Now, remember, the rolling HP can work for and against you. If you take your turn too quickly and your HP was in like the 20s, and you get hit for mortal damage, it's going to start counting down from 20. It's not going to wait for you to get back to full before it starts counting down.
That's where the patient comes in handy there.
Yep. So this phase 2, with Jeff alive, the Heavy Bazooka really doing a lot of work. And then the fire, yeah, very still resistant. 61 is not a lot. But phase 2, getting through, no problem. So, once again, it's the same situation for Leslie as for Ryko. There's no Franco badge on them, which means that they're going to be sweating every time they see Gigas do a Thunder. But pretty much any other attack that Gigas does is not a problem. Here you see this first prayer. We're going to see on this next turn, Leslie may do the same thing Ryko did, spend a turn to confuse Brain Shock Gigas. That just, raises the odds of survival. That means that even if you do get a lightning or thunder, sorry, has a chance that Gigas might target it himself. But Leslie playing it a little frisky, and no Brain Shock. They just want to get through as quickly as possible. Realistically, I still think they have a Horn of Life, and they have a C Pendant probably on the person with it. So as long as
I love the description, but I'd be nervous not doing the Brain Shock right here.
Leslie's so much better prepared than I was, though.
Absolutely, both in levels and in items.
So there's the chances of Gigas just being able to devastate this party is just so much less than it was with me, which is why I was being a lot more cautious.
Here we see a little bit of bad luck there. That freeze attack has a chance to solidify, 1 in 4. The solidify happening on the person who's praying means that they don't pray. Yeah, you don't think you can play vanilla? Try speedrunning vanilla after doing ludicrous tech speed. You feel like you're moving through molasses.
At the fastest.
Yeah, actually, yeah, there is an unshuffle. You can play vanilla with the ludicrous tech speed if you want. Yeah, that's at earthbound.app if you go there. Once again, I believe I have to go find my message.
Copy paste.
Yeah.
And then if you liked what you saw today, tomorrow we have more Earthbound. Tomorrow night we're also going to be showing off the other popular Earthbound randomizer, the key item randomizer called PK Scramble.
Yep. And we see Leslie. This thing, I think this is prayer 6 or 7. We'll see about base no damage. That's 7. So this is going to be prayers 8 here. And once prayer 9 begins, that is when time finishes for them. So I got it ready. That's prayer 8. And we're still waiting, Leslie. But Leslie has joined us in the call. We'll ask Leslie some questions very, very shortly.
Any initial comments, Leslie, while we wait for your stream to catch up?
And there we go. Leslie's finished there. The time roughly 1:25, 21, 22. There's a little bit of a late split.
GG.
But GG to Leslie, GG to Raiko. Leslie, I would love to get some thoughts about this seed and how you were feeling knowing you were... Did you know you were on floor 8 when you were kind of struggling there looking for a full heal?
I had a hunch based off of a couple of the enemies that I saw. Although the first thought I have about that floor 8, how about those fobbies basically having a 100% drop rate for bags of Dragonite?
Oh my gosh.
That was ridiculous, although I gotta be honest, that really helped with Playground of Doom.
Yeah, absolutely. And you even used it on like a pile of puke fight because you were just like, I don't want to deal with this. I need to find a full heal right now.
Yeah, at that point in time, I was done with the enemies just calling for help, and I was like, screw this.
Yeah, so it was great stuff there. Raiko actually found a very early skip to 9, about 20 minutes into the run.
I had a hunch.
Yeah, but the problem is it was 20 minutes into the run, so they were like level 12. So like,
right. It's the matter of the left and the right. You ended up on 8, they ended up on 9.
On 9. So you two were very close together in terms of floors. You found a C pendant, which Raiko didn't find, but you did find the star pendant and heavy bazooka that he did eventually find on floor 9, which ended up coming in very clutch against that Gigas.
Yeah, because Gigas Phase 2 is freeze resistant, and at that point my options were, okay, fire damage, heavy bazooka, leave nest improve for healing, maybe use thunder, use brain shock for sure, to at least give yourself a bit of a buffer, because I needed to keep Jeff alive through at least that phase.
Boy, if this game teaches you one thing, explosives are the answer.
Yes, and so... any final thoughts? This is for both of you, really, but we'll start with Leslie. Any final thoughts on the race and just in general? And
I just figured I'd point out that, first and foremost, shout-outs to Feasel and everyone behind the scenes for getting this run into a spot to where we could both be here and run this. Very much appreciated. I'm going to say that off the top because... sometimes things happen. I'll leave it at that for that part. And also, the times do not equate to skill for this rando at all. It equates to just how volatile this rando is. Basically, it came down to who found the correct path. And in this seed, Raiko found the correct path and was able to not only carve out a niche on floor 9, but find all the stuff that he needed for endgame, and that's basically your difference right there. Sure, I found a couple extra C pendants. Plus, I had some fun with the bags of Dragonite. That's the takeaway from this, is that sometimes those 100% drops can be something really cool in this randomizer, and in this case, it really was. I wish I had more money for the super bomb vendor I found in the Foresight department store, which was all the way back on floor 2.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate. I had an ancient cave seed once that had the roaches. They had a 100% chance to drop an MBR, which is a multi-bottle rocket for those who are unaware. It's the best item in the game by far. it does a max cap of 3,000 damage to an enemy. But it also does a max low of 0. It has a chance to miss. Based on
It is speed based.
It is speed based. So on Gigas, it's not very useful because neither of them found a rabbit's foot for Jeff, which is the only way to make bottle rockets viable in the first phase of Gigas. Really, the second phase is really just not viable unless you somehow roll insane speed with Jeff, and even then, your chance to hit with a bottle rocket, even with just vanilla 80 speed, is probably going to be somewhere like 2 to 5%. But moving to Raiko, I just kind of want to hear your thoughts in general about just the race, and also were you worried about whether or not Leslie found the same skip you did, or were you pretty confident that you were ahead?
I thought I was in pretty good shape because although the skip to 6 was on a pretty obvious path, the skip to 9 wasn't. But I will say this, other than just echoing everything that Leslie said, if this was a tournament race, I probably would have just gone for Googie as soon as I found the heavy bazooka and not spent more time looking for a C pendant, because just in a tournament race, especially if your opponent is very strong, sometimes you have to go into fights that you're not comfortable with in the end game. But this can happen to anybody. This is one of those randomizers where skill does go a long way, yes, but anybody can beat anybody.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the nature of randomizers. There's plenty of skill in randomizers, but it's all about sometimes, and they seem like innocuous decisions, but they turn out to be the most important ones. And in this case, it ended up being an important decision that turned out whether you found yourself on floor 8 with the skip or floor 9 with the skip. And I think that was the main difference, was how stuck Leslie was on floor 8 for so long, just because they couldn't find a full heal for quite a lot of it, and they were stuck in belch space with just Ness alive. It's not fun.
That can happen to anyone.
Can happen to anyone. It's just an unfortunate circumstance. If you just happen to find a phone and there's no full heal next to it or near it, you can just find yourself really struggling to struggle out from that scenario. And thankfully, Leslie did with, they powered through, and with a lot of good decision making and skill, throwing bags of Dragon Knights willy nilly and all that stuff, because everything is just is going crazy. They made it out, and so good stuff to both of you. You guys did an amazing job.
Well, thank you. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, the reason why I use the exit mouse where I did is because the full heal on 8 is because the full heal was literally the other side of the floor, and I had saved on the other side of the floor close to the full heal. So it made sense to just use the exit mouse, mark it there in that room, and then just death warp, because that's basically the only thing I could think of that would have worked. So yeah, sometimes you gotta do things like that too, just to get through, and hey, it worked out. Plus, I found another one on floor 9, which isn't guaranteed.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed. So we're going to be signing off here very shortly. Aerofram, I'll ask, you got any final thoughts?
No, not too much. Raku and Leslie had a pretty good summary here, but if anyone is interested, feel free to join the Earthbound Discord for regular races, or feel free to look up earthbound.app to access the randomizer itself. Daniel, thank you for coming out to join me in the old man status of get off my lawn here.
Two old runners. We've been at this for a while, so we have a lot of experience with the vanilla game at this point too. But yeah, everyone has said it. Thank you so much to Fiesel and SpeedGaming, and enjoy what we got coming up for you. I actually don't know what is next, but you guys might know better than I would.
Looking at the schedule here, it looks like Great Circus Mystery is coming up with Just Lee Belmont and Johnny Go. So
Fantastic.
Looking forward to the co-op normal category that they're running here.
Absolutely. Stay tuned for that. And this is the Earthbound crew signing off. You'll have a good night and enjoy the rest of this marathon.
Thanks for having us. Did commentary for this 3 years ago, same marathon. Now I got to run in this marathon, and it was an absolute blast. So thanks for having us. Much appreciated. Fuzzy Pickles!